of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have a couple of announcements. Our spring cleaning drive from March 20th to March 20th to May 30th, 2025, Montgomery County is collecting essential toiletries and cleaning supplies for low-income families served by the Department of Health and Human Services. Montgomery Township is assisting them by hosting collection boxes in the Township Building and Community and Recreation Center. So if you can make note of those days for any toiletry items and cleaning products, that would be great. Montgomery Township Sisterhood Supply Drive, which begins April 1st.
But I believe if the group were to come to us, we could find some way from the help as well.
And this is based on what the Vietnam Veterans Foundation told us about, what they would recommend for staffing. The one thing that we did not put on here for volunteers is the setup of the wall and the takedown of the wall, because you need to have as many able-bodied people as possible. So Greg Reif, because he has nothing else to do as Public Works Director, is working on that portion of it. He has reached out to other municipalities. I know the municipality that I came from in Bucks has committed, I believe, 6 employees to come that day and help with the wall. I received communication from PICO that their PICO vets are looking for a role. So I again told them to speak with Greg because they can help put the wall up, and more importantly, even take the wall down so that it gets to its next destination, in a safe manner. So there's a role for everyone. And to Derek's point, if somebody wants a time slot and it's no longer available, they can reach out to us, and there's website contact information on the website. As far as sponsorships, we're going to be pushing out to deal with some of the community partners that we've normally work with. So I've sent out some requests. There is something for everyone. The one level that we have is called the Patriot level, and that is a $100 donation, but we are very willing to take donations of any amount. So if someone has $10, $20, and they want to donate it towards this, there is nothing to preclude them from it. And I think the most exciting part is we are trying to run this event to be cost neutral, so that any additional revenue we bring in, we will send a check to the Vietnam Veterans Foundation in Washington, D.C. to continue to support this initiative so that they can continue doing this in other communities in the future.
I have exciting news to share.
Please share.
I heard from Gilmore and Associates, who we had been reaching out to about a sponsorship for this and what level they would come in at, and they have committed to $5,000 towards this event.
That's wonderful news.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gilmore and Associates.
Are we going to have the sponsors listed as they're actually coming in with sponsorships, like on the website?
Yeah, so I believe your screen's up here. Sorry, well, you can't see it up here. The logo goes on the website. So different tiers have different perks. So at a certain level, either your name, like a text line of the name, or your logo goes up on the website. At that point, though, the logos will go up as they come in. That way, it also shows people that they can also be on our publicity as well.
And additionally, we have sent out requests for both the governor and lieutenant governor to attend the opening ceremony. Letters have also gone to our congressmen, both U.S. senators, the county commissioners, our state representatives, as well as our state senator. The next batch of letters that'll be going out will be going out to local government elected bodies in the area around us, including North Penn, Horsham, Upper Dublin, Lower Gwynedd, and any mayors if we're dealing with boroughs.
And we did also compile a list of within Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and some Delaware. At this point, we're going to expand as well. VFWs, veteran organizations, veteran-owned businesses, healthcare providers who may want to sponsor, chambers of commerce. We've made a really extensive list of different target audiences so that we can get the word out to as many people as possible. And those are in the mail or in email right now.
Excellent. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been an incredible amount of work that has been ongoing, I know, and it'll be here though before we know it. Before we know it.
Thanks for that
Thank
update.
Yep.
Great
thank
job
you.
on the website.
Thank you.
Looks great.
Okay, moving on to item number 4, it's our public comment. So any persons wishing to make public comment during this meeting on any items not listed on the agenda may do so at this time. Come up to the microphone. Okay, seeing none. Move on to item number 5, and this is the announcement of the executive session. Township Solicitor.
The Board of Supervisors met in executive session earlier this evening at 6:15 related to a personnel matter and an ongoing litigation matter. These topics are legitimate subjects of an executive session under the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Sunshine Law.
Thank you. Item number 6 is our consent agenda. Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented for the following: minutes of the March 10th, 2025 Board of Supervisors meeting and payment of the bills for March 24th, 2025.
Second.
Any public comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item number 7, I think this is what we're all waiting for, the American Red Cross Life Saving Award. Chief Wakeman.
Good evening. Tonight, Lynn Cohen from the American Red Cross and other representatives are here to present Justin Tohansen with the American Red Cross Life Saving Certificate of Extraordinary Personal Action. Justin, who is a member of the FDMT and currently a battalion chief with the fire department, saved another person's life in December of 2023 on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship. Just after leaving the cruise port in Florida on December 12th, a fellow passenger went into cardiac arrest in the hallway a few cabins away from where Justin and his wife Casey were staying. Hearing the medical call, Justin, who is an EMT, went into the hallway where Pete, a cruise ship entertainer, was performing CPR on an unresponsive 58-year-old man. Justin helped with CPR, cleared the man's airway, and gathered medical history. After the ship's medical team arrived, Justin continued to help by applying the AED and providing ventilations with high-flow oxygen. The AED delivered a shock, and everyone noticed improvements in the man's vitals. A few hours after the man was transported to the ship's medical center, Justin and Pete stopped by to find him sitting up and talking with his family. The doctors introduced them and explained how Justin and Pete saved the man's life. The man was later flown to the hospital in Miami to have surgery and a pacemaker inserted. Staff recommend that the Board of Supervisors recognize Justin Tohansen for his life-saving actions on December 12, 2023, and Justin's recognition for him being awarded the American Red Cross Life Saving Award.
So first, can we just give him a hand of applause?
American Red Cross. And I just want to say that Justin exemplifies our mission to alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies. And it's my honor to commend you for this award and taking the action while you are off duty. So it's just an honor, and thank you so much for taking the action. So thank you. We appreciate you very much. Thank you. Chief Whiteman.
Oh, yeah. Love to.
One more, please.
Now here all that. Thank you.
So it is my honor to make the motion to recognize Justin Tohansen for his life-saving actions on December 12th, 2023.
Second.
Any public comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Justin. Okay, moving on to item number 8, National Library Week proclamation. Township Manager Carolyn McCreary.
Thank you. The North Wales Area Library is a vital resource for Montgomery Township residents, providing lifelong learning and literacy with over 12,500 programs offered in 2024, community connection, a hub for meetings, events, and cultural programs, technology and job support, 4,340 computer sessions for those in need, and other essential services. Nearly 140,000 materials were circulated, serving 3,737 township members. A proclamation for National Library Week would highlight these contributions and reinforce our commitment to education and community growth. Staff is recommending that the Board of Supervisors proclaim April 6th through April 12th, 2025 as National Library Week.
And so I couldn't think of the perfect person up here to read the proclamation. Tanya Bamford, our supervisor, Tanya Bamford, just has such a love and a passion for the library. So Tanya.
Board member.
Yes.
And I
And-
serve on the board of directors for the North Wales Area Library, proudly. So I'd be happy to read this proclamation.
Please.
Recognizing National Library Week, April 6th through the 12th, 2025. Whereas libraries spark creativity, fuel imagination, and inspire lifelong learning, offering a space where individuals of all ages can explore new ideas and be drawn to new possibilities. Whereas libraries serve as vibrant community hubs, connecting people with knowledge, technology, and resources while fostering civic engagement, critical thinking, and lifelong learning. Whereas libraries provide free and equitable access to books, digital tools, and innovative programming, ensuring that all individuals have the support they need to learn, connect, and thrive. Whereas the PA Forward Literacy is Power initiative highlights how libraries and staff encourage literacy in basic information, civic and social, health, and financial, which contributes to greater personal and community success. Whereas libraries partner with schools, businesses, and organizations, connecting the dots to maximize resources, increase efficiency, and expand access to essential services, strengthening the entire community. Whereas libraries workers have worked to expand fluency in the digital literacy skills needed to navigate the online world in which 21st century information exists. Whereas libraries nurture young minds through story times, STEAM programs, the literacy initiatives, fostering curiosity and a love of learning. Whereas libraries empower job seekers, entrepreneurs, and lifelong learners by providing access to resources, training, and opportunities that support career growth and economic success. Whereas getting a library card is a financially literate action, especially at a free library. Whereas libraries, librarians, and library workers across the country are joining together to celebrate National Library Week under the theme Drawn to the Library. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Montgomery Township do hereby proclaim it April 6th through the 12th, 2025 as National Library Week.
So moved. Second. Any public comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah, that deserves a round of applause.
I think so, come on. We do have representatives from the library here with us this
Oh, we do?
evening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Our
Thank you.
I know how fond you are of public speaking, Susan Leonard, board chair. Would you like to come up and say a few words at the microphone?
Whereas,
I want to thank the board. I want to thank the township. The library, one of the things I found out, there's 11 board members. And when we talked about what it is about the library, why they're there, every single person said they remember when they were a kid. They remember walking in, they remember getting a library card, they remember getting a book or story time. And that's true for all of us. And it's a passion for everybody that works there, for the board, and for all the townships that have now joined and become part of our family. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a gem of our community. Thank you for that.
Okay, moving on to item number 9. This is our volunteer committee applicant for the EAC. Andy, forgive me if I say it wrong, if he's here.
She.
She.
Oh. Yep.
Mayrotra?
Marotra.
Okay.
Yep.
Beth, I'm gonna
Okay,
turn it over
yes.
to you.
So we received an application from Township resident Andy Marotra, and she is interested in serving on the Environmental Advisory Committee. And her resume is attached, and she's been invited to attend the meeting and introduce herself. And in full disclosure, I've known Andy for a long time, since our kids were in elementary school. And she did a garden club, I did an environmental club, and you often helped me and I helped you, and we kind of worked in concert a lot with these environmental things. And she has a passion for gardening and a passion for clean living. So anyway, she's going to be a perfect, I've been kind of, we've discussed this for years, and now we're making it happen. So if you'd like to say a few words about what brings you here, I know what brings you here, but you can just say it for yourself.
Thank you for that nice introduction. Yes, I just had a love for and a passion about the natural world my whole life. And as an adult, I started gardening, and more recently I've begun working with native gardening and native plants. And so that's kind of an additional proactive piece that I'm working on, trying to spread the word about that. And I have some time and like a tiny bit of expertise. We call it expertise knowledge now that I can use to maybe help in the township. So yeah, I'm excited to be on the committee if I can.
La Leche League now makes more sense. So I was reading it thinking, why with La Leche League? Thank you.
Any other questions for Andy? And forgive me, Andy. I shouldn't have assumed a thing, but I did.
You know what? I'm glad to put Andrea on. Andy, that's really what I am.
She's an Andy.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion to appoint Andrea Mayrotra to the Environmental Advisory Committee to serve an existing 3-year term to expire on January 1st, 2028.
Second.
Any public comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Welcome to
Welcome.
the EAC.
Welcome. And what a nice segue right into item number 10, which is the EAC's Parks Native Meadow Garden Project. And
Come on up, guys.
yep, let me turn it over to you.
Okay. So while they're getting set up, I'll give you a little bit of a background here in that the members of the Environmental Advisory Committee are here tonight. Thank you for coming to present their ideas for implementing a native garden and meadow in one of our parks. And so they're gauging interest and guidance on how to proceed. This is something we'll be coordinating with Public Works and with the Parks Department, our Parks Board, et cetera. But we have done quite a bit of work as a committee. So we thought we'd come to this at this point, and they would give a presentation to everyone to gauge interest on this so we can move forward to the next step. So welcome.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you, everyone. As Beth mentioned, this is preliminary presentation. We are here to share some of our thoughts and where we would like to take things, and hopefully receive your feedback and approval to move forward.
And just kicking off, this is about meadows and native gardens, but also think about lawns and grass and its impact in the municipality as well as just within our yards, the water consumption. When it comes to maintenance, the mowers are running and producing carbon through that time, and it often takes fertilizers or other pesticides that go along with that, and typically there's a biodiversity loss of lack of native plants having room to grow. So just thinking before we get into the plants that or the impact of the grass, and we're not just introducing the native plants and meadows, but also reducing the footprint of grass.
That's right. So native gardens bring a whole wealth of various benefits to the community. So why a native garden? As Scott was saying, the native gardens will be used to replace some of the lawn area. So when a native garden goes in place of the lawn, you're reducing the cost of upkeep, the fertilizer to keep the personnel to upkeep that lawn as well. You're also reducing a lot of the runoff that lawns bring. They don't have the soil that native gardens have. That runoff can cause pollution. And then you're also supporting local wildlife. So we'll bring back birds and bees and butterflies. My daughter loves the butterflies, so you're bringing that whole community aspect to it. So the native gardens replacing the lawns is really where you get your main benefit. And as you can see, we've been
yeah, I mean, I commend Montgomery Township's green initiatives already. I mean, when it comes to Ready for 100, more recently the plastic reduction ordinance, electronic and battery recycling, and looking around at local municipalities that have also adopted some native gardens, really seem like a natural fit in the, really the theme and, what we've done in the community here.
A lot of the community benefits that a native garden can bring. You have the educational purpose of a native garden. So there's actually a native garden near Mondock, which we'll talk about a little bit, but that provides a lot of good educational material to people coming by. It can explain the species that are there, teach people about plants, the biodiversity of the hummingbirds, the bees, all of that, etc. It is a peaceful and scenic area. So grass is pretty, I guess, but a beautiful garden with colors and birds and the insects brings much more of that kind of visual appeal than grass could, especially if grass is dying or if it's uncut. Has much better advantage to that as well. It does encourage volunteerism. So our native gardens do at one point reach kind of a state where they can start, to grow themselves. There are a lot of opportunities for different organizations, Boy Scout, Girl Scout troops, church groups, things like that, to come and help volunteer and clean up the garden as well, learning along the way. And it's, as Scott was mentioning, it goes right along with our sustainability goals. So it's kind of continuing that trend that we've already started.
And the site selection approach is meant to be collaborative. It's meant to be a dialogue with Parks and Rec and Public Works to find a good location. We got some inspiration from Upper Dublin's Mondock Park, which is right down Horsham Road. Similar to Windle Stray, there's walking paths, sports fields. Definitely it draws a mix of crowds, and it serves as an example to see somewhat to inspire folks to display some of the grass on their own property, to see that meadows can be beautiful and beneficial, and maybe butterflies for the family or other benefits. So that would really be a collaborative approach. And there's a few factors like the amount of sun and drainage and things like that, but that would be something we collaborate with to come up with those sites.
Yeah, so in total, we know there's a long journey to getting the native garden in place, but it starts with a collaborative approach to picking a site. From a site, we could come up with different native garden plans. There's a lot of great material out there from the Penn State Extension that has pre-built native garden kind of blueprints. So we could work with available space and some of these blueprints to kind of see what would fit. But again, very collaborative with the Parks and Rec Department, the board, any public works, making sure that we have a place that's not only good for the township, but easily accessible for people, and would provide a good native garden. From there, it would be the more garden design. So what model we like, what layout we like, what the plants would be involved. We'll talk to experts, of course. We could answer questions if there would be a bench or if there would be a walking path or things like that. Some of that would go into the next category, budgeting and funding. Depending on what you put into the park, we'll talk a little bit about this on the next slide, the cost can increase. The general cost for clearing the land and laying down the seeds could be on the lower end, $3,000 an acre, all the way up to higher end of $10,000 per acre. So again, site selection, plan design, and then how much space we have and what we need. And then talk about what kind of a community engagement we can have. So that would help with maybe even the creation of the native garden, but also the upkeep, and eventually get to a long-term plan for that. But as I mentioned, eventually if the native gardens are done right, they get to a point where they become an ecosystem. So the effort to upkeep them eventually diminishes.
Right, and as we talked about the budget, John had mentioned previously some of the price ranges around there, with the goal of the longer term maintenance, winding down the amount of budget, looking at different funding sources, whether it's coming from the township, there's a variety of grants, different sponsorships that we've seen some other municipalities adopt, as well as some fundraising or coordination with some other organizations locally. So, we have a few different options here on the page, ranging from 3,000 to 10,000, just to get an initial pulse check.
And we will certainly refine those costs as we go. The last thing, just a little bit more, we have a next step slide after this, but getting close to questions, there are any. For community engagement, these are just some of the different ways that we would try to approach or gather interest into the garden. So putting together volunteer days. We already have annual days within the EAC where we do the recycling and things of that nature. So maybe having a day on the calendar that we could help foster maybe a early spring cleanup and then an end of fall cleanup, something like that. Putting on educational workshops, whether that's through various homeschool programs, which would find a lot of advantage of this, or after school programs, or even schools, religious groups, things like that. We would have signage and outreach, hopefully, so similar to the beautiful signs we already have, hopefully putting those in. Again, this is something that Mondoc does a pretty nice job of, so we can use them as an example. And then really just trying to use that to educate people and keep the excitement up and have it as a gathering place for people to learn and come together and hopefully take pride in it.
And next steps is looking for your approval and collaboration with Parks and Rec and Public Works. And, this is really a framework where we're at now before we get into specifics to understand where we would have a more specific site evaluation and finalize what the funding would look like, as well as some of those funding sources, and then actually have a timeline, allow for other folks in the community to provide their input, as well as anyone else throughout the municipality, how it could impact them or what benefits could come into play.
That's mostly it. Any questions or maybe anything we could try to reiterate, dive deeper into?
So I had a couple of questions, and this might all be too early to even answer. So I think I heard you say Wendell Street. Have you thought about like where you might see this starting?
We have some sites that we've all personally had in mind and picked out and would think could be a good opportunity. Wendell Street does have a lot of grass, so there is a lot of opportunity, especially back near the disc golf course.
Okay.
So we think that could be a low hanging fruit, right? It's people are already kind of on that course, and it's just the soccer fields are there, but there's that grass area. So, and I think there's a couple of places local with some of the other core members that they would like to see, but we would have ideas that we could share.
Mm-hmm. Has there been any preliminary conversations with Parks and Rec yet?
No,
nothing at all yet.
To make sure we had support.
And I'll just add that I actually went to Mondoc this past week on Friday, I think it was, with Maureen, who's sitting in the back, as well as Tim, who's not here tonight, but may be watching. I think he's with his family right now. But needless to say, we were looking at the signage and how it has, you can view it from and enjoy from the walking paths. So we want it to be in vision, but we don't want it to be in the way of anything. Mm-hmm. And there's also a real nice process of how you can do this by planting some trees early and then have a kind of an evolution as things go, but have it a stepped system where we have one area and then maybe we could grow it to another area, but let's take a little piece at a time. So, and that's what they're doing there and have done, and with great success there at Mondoc in Upper Dublin. So
where is it in Mondoc? I go there to walk the trail and that's kind of it, but where specifically?
It's down Horsham Road, Maureen, how did we get there? It was the name of the street was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It's in the far corner.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So I will say, on behalf of on the Parks Board, that there has been interest expressed within the board in the past for, creating more spaces for passive use. And something like this, I think, would fit the bill. And it also reminds me, it was going to be a part of my report later on anyway. We recently had someone come and propose bluebird boxes, and an organization that actually puts the bluebird boxes up in key spaces. And it has to be just, like the right space, based on proximity to certain features. And then they have volunteers that come and help clean the boxes and maintain the boxes. Sounds a lot like that. And I would say that the Parks Board was amenable to that proposal as well. So anyway, I look forward to getting you on the agenda for an upcoming Parks Board meeting, so we can poll that group for more feedback.
This group has put so much time and energy into this. They've really done their homework. They've been able to find area communities that have implemented things. They've gone through Penn State Extension. They've tried to bring things. So they've really done their homework on this, and I just hope we can bring it to the next step and really get our process. It's a longer process than you think. It's not like we just stop mowing. I was like, wow, this is a lot of effort, but worth it in the end when you see the end result. So.
And I heard, I know the numbers are not exact, but per acre, how big are they historically? Are they?
It could be big. I mean,
Really?
depending on how. I mean, you could also. There's actually, I do wish our new member was here about a month ago. But they do have like these the concept of like micro gardens or micro native gardens. So you can. I mean, there's like the city tree blocks that they have, those little square things. You can turn those into little micro native gardens. I would think the one that we're going through. I don't know. I mean,
I think there's. I spoke with some other organizations. Do you go for a larger site and have a bigger impact, or do you go for a smaller site but you're closer to people where they're kind of understanding the concept and have some signage around it? So probably more in the smaller. Let's get this. Kind of crawl, walk, run kind of idea here.
With a step program of saying maybe then we could go to the next step later if it goes well. So.
Like a half acre, I would be thrilled with. But
exactly. So
what do we see the next steps at for your committee to get on the agenda for parks?
For parks, which I think that's the plan for next month.
The natural step.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm on board.
Yeah.
All
right.
Andy, you're good?
We'll see you at the parks meeting.
I was like, now you know why I want you on this committee. And Maureen too. Good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks, Scott. Yeah. See? Everyone likes it.
Okay. Item number 11, the public hearing, proposed amendments to zoning ordinance 25-347. Marianne.
So before you is a request to adopt the proposed amendments to Montgomery Township Zoning Code, Chapter 230, Article 30, Wireless Telecommunications Facilities, to update our current local regulations in order to remain consistent with current technologies, policies, state and federal regulations, and laws associated with wireless communications. In addition, the ordinance will provide tower-based wireless telecommunications facilities by right within municipal or municipal authority-owned properties meeting specific criteria set forth in the regulation. The proposed ordinance amendment has been submitted and reviewed by the Montgomery County Planning Commission, the Montgomery Township Planning Commission, township staff, and consultants. The review letters and minutes are included in your packet. It was previously authorized for advertisement during the board meeting, January 6, 2025 meeting. And it was advertised on March 10th and March 17th, 2025 as required. don't know if you had anything to add, John.
No, but just for the purposes of creating the record for this, which will be a hearing, as this is a zoning text amendment to change and rehaul that Article 30, I'd like to mark 5 exhibits for the record before we open it up to the public for public comment. First being Board Exhibit 1, which is the ordinance itself. Board Exhibit 2 is that proof of publication in the Reporter newspaper, as Director McConnell stated, on the 10th and 17th of March 2025. Informing the public of tonight's hearing. Board Exhibit 3 is the proof of submission to the Montgomery County Planning Commission, which was then thereafter reviewed by a letter dated February 20th, 2025. Board Exhibit 4 is proof of submission to the Montgomery Township Planning Commission, which was reviewed at their public meeting on February 20th, 2025. And Board Exhibit 5 is the proposed attestation for the ordinance to be submitted to the law library pending approval of the ordinance tonight. So those are the 5 exhibits. I do believe Director McConnell gave a summary of the major highlights of this ordinance, which is a complete overhaul since it was last done in 1999. And this is related to wireless communication facilities. It essentially brings everything more up to date, provides for some of the items that weren't thought about last time, such as aesthetics, landscaping, screening, signage, lighting, noise, access, fencing, the ability to inspect. With that, I'll turn it over to the public to see if there's any public comment related to this ordinance. Hearing and seeing none, I'll turn it over to the board to see if the board has any questions or comments related to this ordinance. No? Okay, with that, we will now close this public hearing on this ordinance, and this ordinance is now in position to be voted upon by this board.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and make a motion to adopt ordinance number 25-347 to amend chapter 230, article 30 of the code of the Montgomery Township as presented.
Second.
Any public comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item number 12, this is to consider the approval of a stipulated settlement agreement, 108 Cathedral Drive. Mary McConnell.
In September of 2024, the township filed a land use appeal in the Montgomery County Court of Appeals docket number 2024-22216 of the zoning hearing board decision for proposed relative quarters at 108 Cathedral Drive. To resolve the appeal, the attached stipulated agreement has been prepared for your consideration. Exhibit A is provided to depict the modifications to the proposed first and second floors of the proposed relative quarters addition. Should the board approve the settlement agreement and upon court approval, the township shall withdraw its land use appeal.
And I'm happy to provide an overview of
Good.
the high points of the settlement.
Mhm.
As recall, the board did oppose this zoning application initially. The zoning hearing board did grant the special exception, and then the board did authorize us to appeal. The issue that the board took primarily was not particularly the use, but the size of that use, this being what should be a relative quarters and was expected to be somewhat as an accessory, smaller dwelling, being large. The size of this property is unique that it does accommodate the size of this extension. And to be clear, if they wanted to create an extension at the size, if not larger, for their own purposes, they certainly would be allowed to do that. This is only related to having that extension be the relative quarters. After the appeal, settlements were reached to the best that we could, with the goal of doing a couple things. The first is trying to shrink down the size of the addition. And this settlement does shrink down the size of the addition as it relates to the exterior appearance. And they're moving more to the inside and to the basement. So again, technically their relative quarters isn't decreasing, but the appearance of it from the outside. And second, it moves it more towards the front, towards Cathedral, towards the front of the house, and not towards the rear of the property. After this hearing, although nobody entered their appearance in opposition at the hearing except the township, I believe the board did hear from some residents that lived behind the property because this was going out to the back. So this moves it more closer to the front, keeps it lower, takes off the floor towards the back, kind of moves that above the garage. So the change of the proposal is better than what it was and will have less of an impact on those neighbors towards the back. The second, again, noting the fact that the residents have a by right ability to increase their house based upon the size of their lot, to increase the square footage and the building coverage. They've agreed that as long as they have this relative quarters in place, they won't increase their house anymore as far as building coverage goes. So again, they would be able to do that because it's not related to the relative quarters, but there'll be a covenant in place that will prevent them from doing that. So again, helping the neighbors, helping something grow in the back, not happening. Now that doesn't include sort of an open patio or deck, but if there's any additional structures or additions to the building, that would cover that. The other conditions would remain related to the need to file a deed restriction against the property and to notify any potential buyers that it can only be used for that relative quarters purpose. So if that was violated and at any point in the future by future buyers or occupiers of that house found that it was being rented out, not being owned or used by a relative, it would be able to be enforced by the borough. So based upon the fact that we are getting these advantages instead of sort of getting nothing, then my office believes this is a fair settlement stipulation. The other parties are in agreement to it, including the zoning hearing board and the trusses, and we would recommend the board approve the settlement stipulation for those reasons. I'm happy to answer any questions.
The yearly permit, so that's something that has to be renewed every year by them?
Correct. And that is something actually that's in the code already for anybody who has a relative quarters. So they're going to have to, they would have to do it anyways. But again, we wanted to make it expressly known that that requirement still applies. As long as they're using it as a relative quarters.
Correct. Thanks.
Any other questions, concerns? Okay. And I'm going to make a motion to authorize the settlement stipulation docket number 2024-22216 and facilitate court approval.
Second.
Any public comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thanks, John. Thanks, Mary. Okay, item number 13. Consider deed of dedication right of way along Horsham Road and Bethlehem Pike for the Quick Lube of Carolina, LD 24-001. Mary Ann McConnell.
So attached are the deeds of dedication for the ultimate right-of-way along Horsham Road and Bethlehem Pike in accordance with the approved preliminary final land development plans dated February 2nd, 2024, last revised January 25th, 2025 for the Quick Lube of Carolina, Montgomeryville Land Development Project. Staff recommends the acceptance of the deeds for this project.
Any questions?
Is this the same as the Take 5?
Yes, it's
That's the same one. I just want to make sure. I'm like, how many quick lubes do we need? Okay. Just make sure.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-06 authorizing the acceptance of the deeds of dedication of the ultimate right-of-way along Horsham Road and Bethlehem Pike.
Second.
Any public comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And I don't know if everyone got the additional item number 14. This is for the Village Shopping Center. I know it went out online. Village Shopping Center Sewage Treatment Facility Oversight Agreement. Ellen McCreary.
Thank you. As part of the proposed redevelopment of the Village Shopping Center and its receipt of preliminary final land development approval granted by the board, the applicant has agreed to enter into an oversight agreement for the private wastewater treatment facility that services the shopping center and the adjacent residential development known as the Orchards. This agreement has been reviewed by the applicant's attorney, the township solicitor, and the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. Staff is recommending that the board approve the oversight agreement and have it executed between the township and Montgomery Sewer Company Incorporated.
And I'm happy to provide a little bit more background on this as well. So the obviously when the board approved this land development, it was approved contingent upon obtaining outside agency satisfactions and permits, one of them being the DEP sewer module approval. They are still going through that process of trying to get approval from the DEP. The DEP informed them that they would like to get clarity as to whether the township would have the ability to access and inspect these facilities if necessary. And that's because, in my opinion, the settlement agreement from back in the day kind of made it gray, although they were saying they were amenable to it. And we wanted to make sure, obviously, it's in our best interest that if we wanted to inspect it, if we wanted to force them to make changes, we could, but it's not our responsibility to do so. And it's actually remains on the PUC. So we're not going to be forced to do it. And that's what makes this clear, but we have the right to do it. We also wanted to make clear that they don't have a right to expand or alter the capacity of the sewage facility or its territories in any way. Because again, that was something that was sort of left gray. Although we say that it wouldn't, we wanted to make that something that's expressed. They've agreed to expressly say that we will not seek to expand or alter the capacity of the sewage facilities unless they obtain the approval of the township and the DEP. So again, this was something that the DEP requested that the township enter into. The agreement was reviewed by the DEP to make sure that if the township did enter into it, it was acceptable to them, and it is acceptable to them. Now, they might have other things that they want them to do as part of their sewer approvals, but that's up to the DEP and up to the applicant to make the DEP happy for that approval. So this is just sort of a small part that needed to be done in order for the DEP to continue to evaluate their planning module.
Was the sewer authority consulted in this?
No, because this isn't related to the authority. It's more of our engineer. The agreement with the settlement agreement was with the township. Now, I think we can certainly allow the authority through our right of access and defer to that for them to be inspected. But
But I didn't see that expressed anywhere within here that we retain the right to, consult our sewer authority as we conduct these inspections because, they have the expertise, and when you go in and inspect a facility, you ought to have some expertise on those types of facilities, and that expertise resides within our sewer authority and not our staff.
Yeah, and I think that if we're there, they'd be allowed to be with us. If they give us something, we can certainly provide it to the sewer authority. But since this is the request of the DEP, and the DEP requested to be from the township, it was aimed at the township. Although I do believe it would provide us with the right to have agents or people acting with us to address those issues. Because you're right, if our engineer wanted to confer with their engineer, then their engineer is going in on our behalf for an agency.
I was just thinking belt and suspenders kind of, can we make sure that we expressly, include that so that, there's never an objection to us bringing them in and availing ourselves of their expertise.
I'm happy to see if that's something they want to consider. It does refer to the township and the township's agents related to monitoring and indemnification, but
so the township and the township agents is specifically mentioned. Okay, I think that would probably. Well, I mean, not a lawyer.
So
But if you think
we
that
obviously at
covers us.
staff level don't have the expertise to be able to go in and inspect. We can certainly collect reports, quarterly or annually. If we wanted to inspect, we would either go to the municipal authority and get their engineer to go out, or we would contract with a third party to do the inspection for us.
But there's nothing that needs to reference that in this document.
Because of the township agents.
It says agents, yeah.
Yeah.
well,
Okay.
agents and
Okay.
essentially, if they were to provide us with the documentation or entry, there isn't anything to say who specifically from the township needs to go there.
Okay.
Or that we have to keep those documents confidential. So
Okay.
we'd be able to rely on our professional expertise. And in fact, again, there's language that talks about how both the township and I think the township's professionals,
Yeah.
they can't rely on our agents or the professionals against us in any negative way.
Okay.
And
Okay,
it does specifically outline on paragraph number 5 to visit the property, inspect, remedy, and repair, maintain. It goes through all that for the
Right,
agents as well.
That we have the right to, but
Right.
we're not obligated.
We're not obligated. That was the other thing when
Yeah.
I was reading through it, I want to make sure that
That-
we
that-
are not assuming any responsibility.
That
for-
was the staff's main concern, and
Yeah,
originally that was not spelled out, and that we made sure that was put in.
Yeah,
for that reason.
that was
Yeah.
important. Thank you for covering that.
And it should know we're not giving up anything on this as well. There's nothing that we are promising to do for them.
all right. I make a motion then to approve the oversight agreement between Montgomery Township and Montgomery Sewer Company Incorporated.
Second.
Any public comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, John. Okay, change the numbers around since we had that ended in. Item number 15, anything further, any questions or comments with regard to the new business, department reports from our department heads?
I have a quick question that I would like to ask about the dog park since tis the season.
Well, we have a presentation,
Oh.
right? Isn't
Oh, wait.
Jen gonna have a?
We do. We have a presentation.
Oh, okay. Should we do that first then?
Yeah.
Or should I ask my dog park question while we're?
What's your
we'll do a
dog park question?
presentation.
I don't know that we'll get you an answer tonight. We did get a compliment. Derek was kind enough to share. Somebody gave us 5 stars on Google for the dog park, and they
Oh,
said they
yay.
love the 3 sections.
Right. We love the 3 sections. My question is, because when I'm there, which I love to bring my dogs there, they do want to know what the rotational plan is. So that was my quick question. And I'm sure you have a plan. So that's why I said, I'm not gonna.
I was gonna cover it in my report. I can take you off the hook, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Very
Very
What's
quick,
the
I'll
plan?
take it. Well, how about we let Jen?
We'll let Jen do it, then
Jen
we'll
do
discuss.
her- Yes.
I just want proof that I'm asking the question for all my dog park friends out there.
So you need to hold me off from presenting longer. It's fine.
I love your presentation, so I'm
I know.
Well,
ready.
Carolyn and I were speaking recently that it's been a while since I've presented to all of you, so here I am. Talk to you about some of the stuff that I've been working on recently, and I'm going to demonstrate one of our public-facing applications that has been pretty popular. Got a lot of eyes on it lately. So some of the stuff I've been working on, Derek and Carolyn were talking about earlier about the wall that heals, about how we've worked on a map of where it's going throughout the U.S., of where it's going from Valley Forge to us, and something that I haven't really told to anyone, but I'm challenging myself in trying to make a 3D animation of that path from Valley Forge to here. I have done it once before, so it is a challenge. But I think it'll be a really cool little project in the long run if I can be successful at it. As well as I'm going to be testing out a live tracking tool that we have available to us through our Esri software, through our Esri licensing, so that we can have in the vehicle, one of the lead vehicles for that procession from Valley Forge, where they are, a live update of when they're going to be nearby as you're out there.
Could we,
waiting
is
for it to
there,
come by.
I'm sorry to cut across you.
You're fine.
Could it be like where you, and I think someone might have asked this before, like we follow Santa?
Like Santa
Like
tracker.
actually
Yep.
follow along.
It'll be a
We have the
follow tracker.
technology. Thanks,
Love
Santa.
that.
So beyond the wall that heals, brief looking over all the different departments. With the Department of Public Works, I've actually had not very much from them in the last few months because we've updated their work order system, which seems to have really streamlined everything. They seem a lot happier. They need me a lot less, and I am okay with that. We did make a new basin inspection form that they are also using very similarly to their current existing work order form system. And we've also gone through and created new updated snowplow maps using our plotter that the Planning and Zoning Department has in-house, which is amazing. I'm a huge fan. Outside of Public Works, with our fire department, I've been working with Chief Wegman a lot. We've been working on MPREP, that I can never remember what it stands for, but it's an emergency management platform for the township for when we do have some sort of emergency that may have occurred in the township, that it's a single stream platform where everything can go in there. It can make things easier for when we do eventually have to submit forms to FEMA, PEMA, both, all of the above, And it's also meant as like a one-stop shop. So we have all of our ICS forms are available there as editable PDFs. We have links to the COOP. We have links to the EOP, links to everything. So if there's anything that you are looking for during an emergency, it should all be available in our MPRO application that we've been working on. Beyond that, we have also been working with the volunteers to update their volunteer form so that it's not a piece of paper they print out and fill in and scan and email. Now it's just a digital form that they will get. We have automated emails that come through when a application is submitted, when applications are interviews are scheduled and all this. There's further stuff that happens. Nobody's applied yet, so we haven't really gotten to test it. We're also working on updating and trying to streamline the community risk reduction, GIS, and I just blanked on what the other site is that you use. ESO, thank you. To streamline the entry of all of the community risk reduction stuff that we are doing, as well as various other forms. With the planning and zoning department, we've been working on trying to have a single location where you can go and explore where some of the new and upcoming businesses are in town, in addition to land developments and a little basic brief information about the land development projects that are approved or under construction or eventually completed. Currently, none of the ones that are in there are completed, so we'll get there, but not yet. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is our citizen problem reporter application, which is a public-facing application. We launched it at early December, and it has been getting a fair amount of traffic. Its intention was to replace the Action Center on the website, which had, in my opinion, two big flaws. One of which being the really big flaw is that you could submit it for anywhere. So I live in Lansdale Borough. I could go in and submit there being a pothole in my street to Montgomery Township Public Works because there was nothing saying that you're not within the township. So the beauty of this new application that I'm going to show you in a second is I can set a physical boundary. So you drop your point on the map of wherever your issue is. And if it is not within the township boundary and Whistle Stop Park, then you can't submit it. It just won't let you proceed, which is saving a ton of time for Stacy and Jackie. They're not having to field a ton of requests that are coming in that are completely unrelated to township work. Only the ones that are PennDOT related or private property related, or I can only do so much. The other flaw in it that I saw was that I could say there's a pothole on Stump Road. Where? Stump Road is like 3 miles long. Could you be a little bit more specific of where it is, at least at an intersection and maybe between intersections? So this application that is public facing, that has been on the website for almost 4 months now, will allow any resident, anyone who has access to this, you don't have to be a resident. Maybe you're driving through and you're aware of this and you want to submit something, to come in and submit their own request. So I can type in a intersection, I could type a street address, and it'll drop a point at that specific location. If that is not where I wanted to go, I could click anywhere within the map and it'll give an approximate address associated with where I put that point. A bunch of different categories. All of these categories are based on the pre-existing categories that were part of our Action Center on the website. We've just kind of molded them a bit better now that we have the opportunity to address it and try to clean things up a little bit. We've made some slight adjustments to the categories, but overall, exactly the same as it always has been. You can select a category, you select your request type. If it's a street light, category to fill in what the streetlight pole number is, because that's what Public Works wants to see. That's what makes things easier for them. The additional details about whatever the report is that the thing that you are reporting, your name, phone number, email, and the opportunity to add a picture if possible. Pictures are always helpful because if you're saying there's a pothole on this block. Maybe you take a picture and there's something in the background that tells you where that pothole actually is, or if the street light is down, maybe it's just like leaning. Maybe it's not actually down. Maybe you're being dramatic and you're saying that it's down.
It's coming down.
It's working its way there. Not quite there yet. If you are submitting this request and you include your email, you will get an email confirming that we have received it. Public Works gets an email saying that there's a new request in. If that request is then updated by Public Works saying that a work order was created or this should be passed on to this appropriate department, it's not in the township, it's not on a township property, it's not township's problem. If you've included your email, you will get a follow-up email saying this has been updated. Here's the information about how it was updated. You also have the ability to come in here and look at ones that have already been submitted. Oh, I probably should have picked one ahead of time.
By other people or by you?
By other people.
Other people.
So anyone can come in here and say, I also wanted to report this street light that has a metal skirt at the bottom that's rusted away. I could, oh, look at, there's even pictures on this one. Look at that. What a good choice. I can come in and say, I actually wanted to report this too, and I can click this I agree button. And now we don't have duplicate reports coming in from the public. It's just the same report. Public Works will see that there is a report that has multiple likes on it. And if it's something that hasn't been completed already, which this one has, but if it hasn't been, maybe you're now prioritizing it even more than you were already prioritizing it. Oh. So since we've started instituting this, I've looked at some of the stats that have come in for it. And we are at approximately two days for any of these requests that come in to be completed, which is darn good, I would say.
So.
Public Works is on top of things over there. But this is a nice way to look at just a glance over of all of the reports that have come in so far. So we only have one that is not already completed. We can see how many have come in each month. Surprisingly, the shortest month is the one with the most requests, but I guess that was also the month with the most snow. So that's probably where a lot of those are coming from. So in addition to this being a newer public-facing application that is getting a good amount of traction, we just put out, Derek and Ava and I just put out a video of the GIST series. If any of you have been watching those videos about Citizen Problem Reporter. And when I shared the post on LinkedIn, I actually had employees from Esri reach out and want to write about Montgomery Township and our use of the Citizen Problem Reporter.
Oh, that's so cool.
We're going to have an article written about us and our GIS usage, specifically Citizen Problem Reporter, but they're going to touch on some of the other things that we're doing. So that is something that is in the works, that we're getting recognized for our GIS and the things that we are doing here.
GIS Jen.
I know that the county is just in awe of what we've been able to do with our GIS technology, and we're definitely setting a high standard for others to replicate, and you're doing a great job. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm just curious, how has this application increased the time for a report to be received and completed by? I'm sure that 2-day turnaround used to be much higher. I mean, I'm sure you don't have data to support it necessarily, but like was it probably double that?
It depends what the actual question was or what the issue was. Depends if we have to wait for materials.
Right.
I would say we tried to be on top of everything as much as we could. When we received those other from the Action Center, they were always priority.
Right.
So I would say it has streamlined things for us, just because you see it right away, and it has taken away a lot of the calls that, like Jen said, that weren't ours for other municipalities. So we still get a lot of phone calls for other areas. Where Stacy, where Stacy and Jackie do an awesome job of just you know, referring those people to where they need to be and to the
Right.
appropriate people that they need to talk to.
Actually, along that note, we actually have another application that I'm pretty sure I introduced to them recently that is Deb's favorite application, the Which Municipality application. So when somebody calls and says, I live at this address, I put together a quick little application. You enter their address and it'll tell you which municipality that they live in. And in some cases, it'll tell you their phone number, or it'll at least give you their website so you can go and get their phone number pretty easily, because I don't know how they found us in the first place, but they apparently can't find.
Well, they think
Yeah.
it's Montgomery County. I live in the Montgomery County. Everyone thinks they live in Montgomery Township. I'm like, no.
We actually use that feature a lot in planning and zoning.
Yeah.
That, well,
That's
it's not our jurisdiction and we can. look
People are
up
just
where they
lost.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We always ask where they pay their taxes to. That's one of the things that Stacy will ask them, who do you pay your taxes?
I have had
But a lot of people
arguments
don't
with
know
people.
because it's escrowed through their mortgage.
That is
So
true.
they
don't
don't.
know.
I listened to
They
Deb
don't
and she's
know.
like, you're Abington Township, you're Limerick, you're, and I'm like, why are we popping? I mean, I guess it's good that they look us up and that we're coming up to the top, but why? Like, I know
Right.
people will say, well, I typed in Montgomery County and somehow our phone number pops up. So
Yeah.
I've had arguments with
Sirius
people
the other
though
one, yeah.
who lived in Montgomery Township.
They
I'm like,
don't
you
think they
live in
do.
Montgomery Township. No, I live in North Wales. I'm like, no, actually,
Right.
that's your
You
that's your
do.
zip code.
That's
but-
your post
but-
office.
Yeah. But that you live in Montgomery Township. No, I don't. I'm like, you're gonna have to trust me. But I had a question about road closures. Is there any way that it could be modified to add road closures when they're happening? I know that they're like they come in and out, but based on information that is coming in from the other systems, is that something that we could use to enhance? So it would be a resource for people to understand where the road closures are, and maybe even a description of why.
Like an internal application, or are you looking to have
A public-
things like
something
Google
public.
Maps and Apple Maps?
That's
displaying
just like
those
something like
roads?
this public facing that would have if there was, we had that huge storm that flooded so many streets and blocked those streets, and you couldn't actually navigate. There were so many limitations in terms of where you could navigate during that storm. Which storm was that? Was that Ida? Yeah. So that we had all that flooding. It was, I know, a crazy rare incidents. But then again, we also have regular accidents that close intersections for hours at a time. Is that something that we could implement into one of these maps so that we could map and actually visually illustrate for people where those closures were?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's absolutely something we can do. There's actually an existing, so Citizen Problem Reporter is a Esri solution with a capital S. It's a pre-built, pre-configured set of applications and maps and data layers that I can download and customize to our needs, like I've done with Citizen Problem Reporter. There's actually a road closures solution with a capital S.
Oh.
So I can definitely look into that and see if it's good enough for what I want it to be, and if not, I'll just make something different.
I think that would be enormously helpful.
Is that something that would have to, say we have a road closure for the day. So then the next day you'd have to go in though and like kind of pull that information out, or?
There's a good chance that it would be set up that it would be date and time dependent.
Okay.
So that I could
So you could
set it
plug it in.
as it's closed from Monday to Friday, 8 to 3, or that it's closed. It's until they tell me it's open. If it's an accident or something like that. I'm not positive, not having looked at the solution yet, but I know that other road closure mapping programs that I have used work that way, that I could put something in ahead of time. So in theory, I could go in tomorrow and say that 202 is going to be closed for the Wall That Heals procession between this time and this time, and just not worry about it.
Or like a 5K.
Mm-hmm.
We would know.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
In theory.
She said in theory. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Jen.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you.
stuff.
Doing great stuff.
Thank you. Anything else? Any other department head updates? Okay, how about from the board for your committees? Start down the line.
Where do you want to start?
Start down the line. Okay. So our gym at the rec center, we didn't have a meeting, but we all know that is being worked on, resurfaced. Hopefully by the end of the month that will be done. So we're hoping that will continue to go smoothly. I was unable to make the public safety committee meeting, but I was at a Korean delegation dinner and event, and Chief Wegman was kind enough to send me some points that they discussed. Unfortunately, I missed our new member, Chris Leonardo. That was his first time coming out, so welcome to Chris. Public Works has been responding to the wind events and power outages, so thank you to you and your guys and girls, and just for all the work that you do. Traffic lights, signal lights, anything like that went out are important to everyone's safety as well. Police are continuing to work through the hiring process, and we're on second round of interviews for that. So that's, I guess the red light cameras that we discussed as well are being installed. So community has notification 60 days. So we're in the period right now. That's it.
Okay, Shade Tree, first and foremost, we celebrated Jay Glickman's 80th birthday with a cake. And I will just give a shout out to Jay. He has been an integral part of many of our committees for a year, probably at least 25 years. Tirelessly volunteers for many, many committees. And it was nice to see a little celebration for him. We talked about the upcoming Arbor Day tree giveaway. We had a list of trees that we were going to be getting from, I guess, the grower. There was one on there that was not to be well received in our area. John Antonucci, our resident tree expert, said we should not get those trees. They won't survive here. So we took them off the list, and it should be a great day. Planning Commission was canceled. Those were my meetings.
So I had a Parks Board meeting and a Sewer Authority meeting. For Parks Board, I already covered the Bluebird box proposal, which was, I think, favorably viewed in terms of installation of Bluebird boxes, specifically around our community recreation center. And Greg was able to provide some insight that we actually have Bluebird boxes. Is it a Zare track over by the Zare track?
Wendell Stray and over at the Zare track.
Yeah, which I wasn't aware of. I think that was really interesting. The presentation was very informative, and so I would anticipate that we would be looking forward to some Bluebird boxes in the near future around our rec center. Wendell Stray farmhouse project was also discussed in terms of next steps that the Parks Board wants to take in terms of fleshing that out. Obviously, fundraising will need to be involved and grant applications. Carolyn was kind enough to share some information on grants, which I provided to the Parks Board. It looks like there's a DCED LSA grant program that would be the best fit for this. So that's something that we're likely to pursue. And then partnering with a nonprofit, they're going to be interviewing a couple different nonprofits to potentially partner with to run a capital fundraising campaign. And the plan is to come back to the July Parks Board meeting with the results and discussing when they might want to come and make their recommendations to the board at that point. So I'll have more to report in a couple of months. And then we also talked about the dog park. Dog park, so warmly received by the community. Very, very warmly received by the community. So warmly, in fact, that it's really been hard on the grass. The grass never really had the opportunity to take root. And the recommendation from staff at this point is that we should close it for a few months to really work on letting that grass take root. and direct people to the old dog park in the interim. So it's not a real popular, happy thing, because I know how everyone's really loving our new facility. But in the long-term best interest of that facility, that's the recommendation of our staff. And then moving on to happier news. At the sewer authority meeting, we got an update on the Rose Twig bathroom, which is making great progress. In fact, I got pictures of it today. If anybody wants to see, the progress that they've made, but they do believe that that will be completed by around mid-April, so mid-month next month. And other things that were talked about of a less technical nature was a rate study that they received, results from and shared some feedback on. So they are looking at the need to raise rates for their users, but they're trying to do it in a very reasonable way to lessen the impact, and only raising the rates for the ones that are sort of based on the study result, not really sufficient for their usage. So there's going to be more to report on that, and they'll be coming to our board to make a presentation. I would think probably somewhere around August or September.
Great, good update on the dog park. Thank you for, in fact, using the old dog park. It's a good idea to give it a little extra rest, especially during this rapid growing season of the spring. So I know you knew what you were doing, so that's good. In terms of my committees, EAC, you just got a very thorough presentation about what we've been up to, including taking some field trips. So that's been a really active update progress there. The business development partnership met as well, and we are continuing. I think we're waiting on some printing for one additional item for our welcome packets for new businesses, and we are also coming up with an event that will be in September. But what's that? A networking event, yes, that would be in September. We'll have more details on that coming up, but that would be something that we've been inviting all businesses, including new businesses, to come to. And Mark's Jewelers was going to be a host for that because they have a nice event space next to as part of their showroom. So that more information will come about that as well, but doing good things there as well. That's it.
And we had our senior committee, we just had our first meeting, or our first seminar. So I'm hoping everyone knows, because we try to get the word out there, that, and it's not just for seniors. The free seminars are for anyone to come to, but we just had our first one on this past Wednesday, which was Brain and Body Connection for Healthy Living. And really seemed like it was a good turnout. We've got, on average, got 2 things going on every month. Our whole year is filled up with the exception of one spot. So that's been the excitement. And then shame on me, because if my seniors are watching, they're going to hit me over the head, because not only did he have a shirt on, but it must have gotten mentioned a zillion times about the senior games coming and the date. And I don't remember the dates, but I know it's in May. It's in May. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So that was big topic of conversation. And then our meeting was a little short because we had some stuff that we were doing with Derek in the beginning, and we had a hard stop at 1:00 because we had the seminar happening. So that's my update. All right. Anything else from anyone? Okay, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.